And House Majority Whip Kevin McCarthy tweeting the House GOP budget bounces in 10 years. The President, Senate Democrats, and House Democrats' budget never bounce. Congressman McCarthy joins us. Nice to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, so I asked Senator Ayotte the question, or asked her to respond about President Obama saying to George Stephanopoulos, my goal is not to chase a balanced budget for the sake of balance. That's part of what he says.
I had to keep from laughing. How can a president not want to balance the budget? How does he forget what he said? One of his first goals in the first 4 years was to cut the deficit in half. Now he doesn't care. He doesn't even produce a budget. I'll bet you this. I bet you he spends more time filling out his March Madness brackets than he does writing a budget.
Well, I think he'll probably have staff writing the budget. No fairness. But
what's your priorities?
I don't understand why. I mean, I know that we had problems with continuing resolutions, sequestration, so there's some complexity to writing a budget. But if the House and the Senate can get a budget together, in spite of all the stuff that's going on, why can't the President?
There's no excuse why he can't. But think of this. He came to the State of the Union. He laid out to the American public what he wanted to achieve. That was doing a lot of different things financially. How can he even picture about wanting to achieve those if he didn't first put on paper what you can afford and what you can't?
Why doesn't he do that? What's he thinking? Is it a gamesmanship, or he thinks it's a more effective way to be an executive?
I think it's a philosophical belief that he has, that he can take more from the taxpayer and keep spending. I mean, his whole idea.
But he could submit a budget like that if he wants. He could very well do that.
You don't want to put on paper what his vision is, because the American public would not support it if it was on paper.
Is his vision vastly different than the Senate Budget Committee?
For the Democrats?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be different, but the Democrats are going to raise another $1 trillion. It will never balance. His will never balance. Ours balances in 10 years. That's a fundamental difference. One important thing is balancing. Another important thing is, why do you balance? Why do you balance? Because you give your children a greater opportunity for freedom and a greater opportunity to have growth in this country. You will see jobs created more. You will see that you will not waste money on interest. You will invest in America to actually put a new generation to work.
Well, I'm anxious to see his budget. As I talked with Senator Ayotte, it is disturbing to me that all these deadlines go by and no budgets are ever presented.
Does he think he's above the law? Why does he not produce it?
He's not the first. And he's done it before, and everybody else is. Apparently, it's. I mean, nobody has much regard for it from who's resigning in the White House.
But, I think it's a key responsibility of any elected official first to do a budget.
I don't disagree with you.
I think he avoids it for political reasons. He's waiting until the House does theirs and passes it. The only reason the Senate Democrats are doing theirs now is because we passed no budget, no pay. And what did Pelosi say about it? You know, she agreed with it. She think it wasn't dignified. I think it's not dignified if you don't do your job.
I think it's terrible that we have to pass sort of gimmicks or whatever you want to call it in order to get people to do the job, to get the jobs that we elected them for.
And you wonder why Washington is so broken. You can't do the fundamental thing.
We started the show saying that Washington's a mess. Do you agree?
It is.
It is a mess. Let me ask you something about the Ryan plan. He would eliminate Medicaid expansion. So I'm curious, what happens to the poor people who are part of this Medicaid expansion? Because they're going to show up at hospitals. Someone's going to have to pay the cost of it. Is it the local hospitals going to have to pay for it? If you eliminate Medicaid expansion, that's the federal government or the states in conjunction paying for Medicare for the poor.
Wait. He sends it to the state. He gives them greater flexibility. I'll tell you, within states, they have better pilot programs. They have ability to deliver it sooner. And you talk to a lot of governors, even Democrats, they'll agree with what we're going to do.
So instead of, so when you say eliminate Medicaid expansion, you're saying, but you will give them block grants to do it themselves?
Let's not use the word eliminate, because the one thing this budget does not do, what Ryan does overall is, instead of growing government at 5%, he does it at 3.4. Why? Because our economy is not growing at 5%. He makes you not spend more than what you bring in. What he does is make the program more efficient. So he takes it to the lower level, puts it into the states that allows them the flexibility. That is a difference. The other thing is, you move the economy in a different way too, so more people are working, more people have a different opportunity.
All right. One of the other parts of it is under Medicare, he would convert it to a subsidized private plan. What is that?
You know what that is? That is getting health care just like every congressional member of Congress has. It gives you a choice.
So you mean you get subsidized, you get money from the government, those who can't afford it, subsidized.
Okay, for the very poorest, we'll take care of them, a safety net. But what we're going to do too, we're going to respect you, that we believe you know what's best about your health care too, that we're going to give you options. Just like people who are watching this channel have options on which cable they want to get, which packages they want to buy. But you get a set sum, you go in and you get a look at
But when you say subsidized, I mean, mean, Medicare right now, you reach a certain age, you've been paying into it for a number of years, so when you reach a certain age, you have Medicare.
But let's be true with what our budget does. If you want to stay on the current Medicare system, you can. If you want to have a choice, you can. What we're talking about here, for the very poorest, we will give them more. We will put a system together that takes care of that safety net for those individuals. But if you want to stay on the current one,
why do you think the Democrats
can.
don't like that?
I don't know. I mean, what we provide is give greater options and choice to an individual to decide their own way. Many times when I discuss with a Democrat, it's a philosophical difference, that they think that person would make a wrong choice, that government should make the choice for you.
So there's no catch, like you're not getting less services or having to pay more, there's no catch?
No, you are going to have a greater option to be able. As a member of Congress, we all get a set amount of money based upon we're working for government, right? Then we get a whole list of different insurance options. We can take that same amount, we go in, and we pick which one. And you know what Judy and I would do when our kids were younger? We'd look for an insurance that covered braces because of our children. Now when our children are older, we're looking for different options. Just as it's greater choice. And you know what? I don't want government making that choice for me. I know what's best for our family. My wife and I will make that decision together. And why can't every American have that decision too? Why can't they decide what happens to their body instead of government deciding that? That's a philosophical difference that Republicans and Democrats have. And I believe in the individual. I believe they are more efficient than government.
Congressman, always nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
And do you think